Target found itself under intense scrutiny this week after the retail giant announced that it was pulling some LGBTQ-themed merchandise following what a corporate spokesperson described as threats impacting our team members' sense of safety and well-being while at work. Target customers posted videos on TikTok showing that Pride merchandise displays had been moved to less visible locations, including the back of the store. One TikTok user wrote, "So disappointed in Target right now." And another, "You literally hid your LGBTQ support so as to not to offend a hateful small-minded people. Don't seem too concerned about offending your own employees and loyal customers though." Target's corporate communications department did not immediately respond to an email containing a list of questions, including which Pride items were removed and the nature of the threats against employees. In a statement Tuesday night, a spokesperson for Target said the company has offered an assortment of products aimed at celebrating Pride Month for more than a decade, but since introducing this year's collection, we've experienced threats impacting our team's members' sense of safety and well-being while at work. He goes on to say, "Given these volatile circumstances, we are making adjustments to our plans, including removing items that have been at the center of the most significant confrontational behavior. Our focus now is on moving forward with our continuing commitment to the LGBTQIA+, they added some more letters, community, and standing with them as we celebrate Pride Month and throughout the year." They added a few more letters there, so you gotta give them some credit. The company did not immediately reply to a question about how the corporate decision might be perceived by members of the LGBTQ community. In some stores in the South, Pride displays appeared to have been moved to less visible areas. At a Target in Cary, North Carolina, 2 employees who did not want to provide their names said that the Pride collection was featured at the front of the store as recently as last week. The display is now farther back in the women's clothing section, and women's swimwear has been placed near the front. The pullback did not seem to affect every store. Brian Singh, a senior merchandise planner at a Target location in Brooklyn, New York, said the store's large Pride display went up about 2 weeks ago, and employees have not received any directions to take it down. Target's large selection of Pride merchandise also comes amid an unprecedented time for LGBTQ rights in America. A historic 480 anti-LGBTQ bills have been filed in state legislatures across the country this year, according to the American Civil Liberties Union, with lawmakers enacting laws to curtail education on LGBTQ issues in schools, drag performances, and transition-related health care, among other provisions, which are 100% needed. In a tweet Wednesday morning, the right-wing personality Matt Walsh wrote that his goal was to make Pride toxic for brands. And I'm sure he said it just like that. Walsh went on to allude to the firestorm around Bud Light after the beer brand partnered with transgender social media influencer Dylan Mulvaney this spring. Bud Light sales have dropped following an online campaign and calls for boycotts. Target hired LGBTQ designers for its Pride collection last year, saying it wanted to authentically celebrate the community. Conservative activists have taken particular issue with the collection's apparel for kids and a tuck-friendly bathing suit for adults. Clothing items for children include supportive slogans, including "Just Be You" and "Trans people will always exist." British designer Eric Carnell, one of the Pride collection's LGBTQ collaborators, had his products pulled from the company's website within the last handful of days. He called the retailer's decision to remove his products, which included apparel containing supportive messages such as "Cure transphobia, not trans people," and "We belong everywhere," both wrong and justified. He says, "It's difficult because on one hand I'm obviously completely against it, I think they should stand by their principles. If you're going to have a pride range centered around and created by LGBTQ people, then you need to stick that out, he said. However, if I were working as a retail employee at a Target store in an open carry state, I wouldn't feel safe, so I do understand their thought process on pulling some of these items. Justified or not, the safety of their employees has to be paramount. Cornell's partnership with Target has been scrutinized by opponents of the company's Pride collection, largely for his use of satanic symbolism in some of his designs. None of Cornell's products that were sold at Target contained satanic imagery. However, that hasn't stopped the hundreds upon hundreds of threatening emails he says he's received in recent days. In a statement on Wednesday, the LGBTQ rights organization, GLAAD, said that anti-LGBTQ violence and hate would persist until corporate leaders step up as heroes for their LGBTQ employees and consumers and do not cave to fringe activists calling for censorship. Fringe activists? That would be more in line with the LGBTQ community, considering that their population is less than 5%. Although Gallup tried doing a poll and saying that the population is actually 7.1%, and then every single news outlet followed that up. But for their poll, their typical sample size is 1,000 national adults. So there's no way that that's actually close to being right. This is honestly just a good example of how a company is just wanting it both ways, and it just doesn't work that way. So you can probably understand why